Okay, everyone. Well, let me make sure this gets loaded up. Okay, let's see. It looks like YouTube is receiving. All right. So, hello everyone. Welcome back to another video on us drawing. So, today, what we are going to be drawing, you can see in the picture right there, it is a close up of an eye. And the reason why I wanted to draw this, in the last video, I mentioned that eyes were really fun to draw and they're actually really simple. So, I wanted to go ahead and show that today. It's very simple to draw an eye. A lot of people think it's very complicated. It's really not. It's just two circles. That was really loud. Let's turn that down just a bit. Okay, it is two circles with a lid over it, and that's about it. That's all it really is. So let's go ahead and get started. First off, I'm going to show you all how to draw a circle. There is a very simple way of drawing a perfect circle, and you can draw it every time perfectly. Let me show you how. So typically whenever people draw a circle, what they do is, let me get back over here. What they do, they typically hold a pencil like this, like they would when they're writing, and they go around like this. And the problem with that is when you draw a circle like that, it's always going to end up to be an oval because you are drawing it with your wrist, and your wrist is always going to snap up and make an oval. So how you actually want to draw a circle, you want to hold your pencil straight, make sure your wrist is perfectly straight, and you are actually going to be drawing with your elbow and your shoulder. So you actually want to move your shoulder around while you're holding your pencil down and move your shoulder around in circles, just like that. And you want to go over it several times. And when you do that, you actually have lots of different lines, and you erase the lines you don't need, and you will get a perfect circle every time that you do this. And if you go back in here, you can look at the lines that we just drew right there, and you can draw a perfect circle just like that. Perfect circle. Now, this was just a test run. That is how you draw a circle. Let me go ahead and we're going to actually draw the picture that we see right up there. Get me a fresh piece of paper here. Now, eyes are very simple. All you have to do is start with two circles. So you have a circle right here, and I'm just drawing this lightly, circle, and then you have a circle on the inside. Now, the eye that we're looking at right there, it's got a very tiny pupil, kind of like it's a deer in a headlight. So I'm going to draw that the way I see it, but usually you'd want to draw the pupil a little bit bigger. Okay, now the eyelids. Eyelids are very simple. Eyelids are just little football shapes. They go whoop, just like that. Curve up. That's it. Next, you can see that the eyelid actually comes down and hits right below the bottom of the eye. Typically, you want the eyelid to be right up in here, but it's right down there for some reason in this picture. So let's just curve this around like that. And there we have it. Now we can go in, we can straighten up some of these lines that we have. Go back in, add in some detail lines, and remember, like I said in the last video, and like I say in class, everything is broken down into basic shapes. That's all it is, just basic shapes. So around like that, eye goes down here. Now, this part up here, you don't need that anymore. So you can just take your pencil, go ahead and erase it. Line's gone. You can actually do that with all the other lines around here because you don't actually need them. Let's go ahead and erase them. You just want to keep your solid lines that you drew, your guidelines that you added in. You don't need them anymore. And that right there is the beginning of the eye. Very simple to do. So the next step that we're going to do, we are going to go ahead and start adding in some of these details. The details, they're really fun. So let's go ahead, bring that picture back up here. With these details, always look at what you're drawing. Like I said, if you think about what you're drawing and you bring it out of your head, it's not going to look like real life because, well, you're not looking at it in real life. This area in here, we're just going to go ahead, shade it in. Now, a trick that you want to try to keep in mind, you don't want to shade in areas that you're going to go back over. I'm doing that, shading it in, so I can show my viewers how to hold a pencil. And I always tell this, it doesn't really matter how you hold it. This is technically the correct way, but as long as your pencil is down on the paper with the pencil lead resting on its side, it gives you a wider surface area, and that is how you shade. You go around in small circles, apply pressure, and that gives you a darker value. That is how you hold a pencil when you're shading. Okay, now with that done, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to look at the highlights that we have in the eyes. It looks like it's a window right about here, so I'm going to draw this line right there, just a little guideline for myself. Comes up into a triangle, curves right back over, kind of like that. And then it looks like I have one more right about there. Now, with the eye, same thing we did with the cat last time. We're going to add in some darker values, and we're going to add those in over our lighter values. So I'm going to add in some lighter values first, right about here. And I'm going to look at the colors in the background of the eye. I know that there's darker values right up here, so I'm going to add in the darker values there. And the highlight that I added in, I'm going to leave it white. So shade that in just like that. Blend it around. And I'm not using any special pencil. This is the same pencil I had last time. I just sharpened it up again. It's a standard number 2 pencil. That's all this is. And it looks like that the darker values actually come around here in the corner of the eye and go down. And then it gets lighter as it goes down right about through here. Same thing over here. We're going to shade in this eye, well, this part of the eye. And remember, we are leaving the highlights white. It's darker right around in here. And same thing with the cat. This is the boring part. This is the part where you're just adding in the same shade. It gets more interesting very quickly. Remember to always look at what you're drawing. Okay, next comes all those little fun details that you see in there. So what we're going to do, we're going to just kind of graph these in, and every eye is different. Trust me, every single eye you are ever going to see, they're different. So same thing that we did last time with the cat's fur. We start with the dark area and look at where the dark areas are. We start with the dark area, add those in, and then we are going to blend or shade those areas right back out. And they kind of look like little slingshots. You have a dark area right there, and it kind of goes down like that. Then it fades back out. So you see how that kind of looks like a slingshot? That is kind of how an eye looks. So it has a bunch of those little things going around in it, and they're all darker in one area, and then they just lighten up and fade right back into those colors. That is how an eye looks, and it is so many of those. They're so neat to do too, because you can literally just go crazy with this. And if you have a coloring pencil that you want to add in, you can make eyes such funky colors, and they look so neat. And remember, you are always looking at what you're drawing. You can kind of give some artistic flair to it and take some artistic license when you're doing the inside of the eyes, but you don't want to go too crazy because you still want it to look like an eye when you get done with it. Oh, and for those of you who are more inclined to using coloring pencils, blending with coloring pencils is exactly the same thing as blending with a regular pencil. So the same techniques that I am using right here, you can use with the coloring pencil, and it's exactly the same thing. Blending, holding the pencil off to the side, all of that is identical with a coloring pencil as well. You can blend colors together just like that. Sorry about that. Just got an email. Got lots of emails. And my computer's locking up on me, so that's fun. Okay. So we go right back to it. Thank you, Miss Simpson. I'm glad that you enjoy the video. Now, I have had students ask me before why eyes look like this, and honestly, I'm not a science teacher. I have no idea. I don't know about the biology of the human eye or the anatomy of it or anything like that. I'm not that knowledgeable about that content area. So you will have to look that up on your own. Frankly, I don't know. But I know they are super cool to draw. They are so easy to because you don't have to stick with it exactly. You just kind of, forgive the pun, but you just kind of eyeball it and draw the way you want it to look. The picture? Are you talking about the screenshot? Oh gosh, the screenshot of the eye? Is that what you're asking? Okay. Actually, the program that I am using is called OBS, and that is a free program that's available online. It's a streaming application. And using that, I have my different videos set up, my different cameras. In fact, I have multiple cameras. I have, let's see if I can bring this one up. I also have this camera set up here. So this is my office and this is me. And I can just toggle them on and off as I need to. So kind of like that's on and off. And I can have different pictures brought up. It's a very neat little application. So what I'm doing around here if you look at the original picture, there's not really as many dark details here. I'm just adding in some of the lighter details. I'll go back in and add in the darker details once I get these areas blocked in, because there's some areas that are really light with color and there's some areas that are super dark. So I'm just kind of blocking these in first. That's why I said that eyes are so fun. You can add in all these little details, and the more details you add in, the more realistic it actually looks. So really neat stuff there. So yeah, all this stuff is, I'm actually getting people emailing me telling me that they're watching it and they're liking it, but they're getting envious, saying that they can't do it. You actually can. It's just time and practice. That's it. That's all this really is. And I will always say that there is nothing in here that I am doing that you can't do. It's just the amount of time that you want to dedicate to it. To get good at anything, it just takes time. And I keep telling my students that all the time. It is just the amount of time you want to put into it. I give them the example of Fortnite. You're really good at Fortnite, that's because you spend a lot of time playing it. The only reason that I am decent at art is because I have spent a lot of time practicing. I blame my parents, but you know what? I mean, you ain't got nothing else to do when you live in the middle of nowhere except draw, so do what you do. Okay, now we're starting to get into some darker areas up here again. Eyes are, they seem really complicated, but in reality they're not. They're just a lot of fine little details. And like I said before, the more details you add in, the more realistic it looks. And while it looks very impressive, it's really not difficult to do. Now let's go around this side of the eye. This is going to be darker. Okay, and now we add in these little divots in here that's going to be really dark. They just kind of fork themselves in like that. And honestly, right now, I know I'd say that you need to look at the reference picture. I'm not really. I'm just kind of blocking these in as I see them because I already got the main colors done. I know about what I want the rest of it to look like. Okay, now let's add in some shading around there. Then I can start going in and adding in the rest of the dark values. We are actually almost done with this artwork. We don't have much left. Or at the very least, we are done with the eye. We still have the eyelid, but that's nothing. That's easy. Easy stuff. So look at where these dark values are. Kind of take your own artistic opinion into matter, where you think they need to be. Okay, now I'm going to go in, add in a few more little shadows in here because we actually have darker values around here. What I'm doing here, I'm just going around in small circles, adding in some darker values. Nice pun. Can't believe your eye. I like it. But yeah, thank you very much. I'm glad you like it. Like I always say, it is just practice. The more practice you put into something, the better you get at it. In fact, we have several students at our school that are at this level or above this level, to be honest. Okay, the little highlights that we see in there, now we're going to go in and we're going to, I know I just darkened some of these up, but we need to look at where the highlights are, the different colors, and start adding those in, just like that. So if you need a sharper edge on your eraser to add some in, what you can do is take your eraser, do like that on a corner, get a nice little sharp edge, which I have one right there, and then you can take that and make your highlights. All right, next. We're almost done with this eye, as I already said. We're going to go in here. And if you remember from the last video, there are no lines in real life. All the lines that you see in real life are made just by using shadows and values. That's it. So I'm going to go in here, and even though I can't see it, I know that's there, so I'm going to add that in. Little divot of the eye. Add in a darker value there. It's going to be the corner. Then I'm going to add in my shadows. So it starts off dark right here, and then it fades down into a lighter value. And it looks like it kind of curves around about right there. Now it looks like this part of the eye down here, the eyelid, is actually in light. So I want to erase that harsh line that I have there. I'm going to draw just a faint line as it comes in. Looks like another shadow right over here. Okay, now for the veins in the eyes. Those are very easy to do. You don't need many, and it's just a very light line that kind of curves with the roundness of the eye. Just kind of like that. You don't want to put too many in there, or it looks like, well, they got something wrong with their eye. So you just want to put a couple. And they're just very small little feather lines, just like that. Over here, we have some more. And now for the eyelashes. Now, eyelashes, what a lot of people don't realize is they're not actually on the tip of your eyelid. For instance, this right here, where your eyelid meets your eye, the eyelashes are not actually there. They set off from your eye a little bit. And the reason why we have eyelashes is to protect our eye from getting stuff inside of them. It would make no sense for us to have eyelashes directly on top of our eye. Make no sense whatsoever. So the line that I'm drawing in here is actually the line that the eyelashes are on. And when you draw eyelashes, let me get my scrap paper here. Most people draw eyelashes and they do this right here. You have the eye right there, and they draw eyelashes and they go boop, 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 and they make 10 million eyelashes. That's not how you draw eyelashes. Eyelashes are kind of like this. They go whew, like that. And men, you will not realize this, but women can verify this for me. Eyelashes actually kind of clump together like that. They go they do clump together. So whenever you draw eyelashes, you don't want to just go like that, evenly spaced apart. You want to curve them up and have them actually meet and intertwine with one another, just like that. So let's go back to our picture here. With the line that we have here, I have a solid line coming down. Erase this. Okay, now for the eyelashes. We have eyelashes that go poof. And you can be kind of sporadic with them. The eyelashes on the bottom eyelid, there's actually not as many as there are on the top eyelid, and they're not as long because most of the time we're not trying to protect our eyes from stuff splashing up into our eyes. We're actually protecting our eyes from stuff falling down into our eyes. So we actually have more eyelashes on our top eyelid than we have on our bottom. Okay, now for the top eyelid. The top eyelid is exactly the same as the bottom. It's not actually setting directly on our eyelid. There's a little line above it that our eyelashes go on. And this right here, same thing as before. We're going to take this and we're going to go just like that. They're just sporadic. That's all it is. Now, I don't actually have a reference picture to look off this, but I can already tell you I added in too many up here. I'm going to erase a few of these. Okay, there we have an eye. Now, if you want to go in and add in some more details with this and make these eyelashes a little bit thicker, you can. That'll make it look more realistic because this is a very close-up picture of an eye. And eyelashes are actually pretty thick. And there we have ourselves an eye. Now we could go into more detail, add in the details around it, maybe spruce up some of the eyelashes a little bit, but for the most part, this is our eye, and we have done, I think we did pretty well on it. So let's add in some eyelash details here, like as in the picture. There we have it. So eyes, they don't take as long as normal pictures do or other kind of pictures, like for instance the picture of the cat that we drew. That took a lot longer than this. The eyes are very fun to draw, very easy, simple lesson, and you can add in a lot of detail to an eye if you really take the time to sit down and actually focus on it and study how the eye looks. You can add in a lot of details to it, and they're super fun. So, very simple drawing lesson. If you all liked it, let me know. I'd love to see your all's stuff. Thank you for sticking around and watching. Thank you for joining me. Till next time, have a great, wonderful, fantastic day. Thank you all so much for being a part of my day.